there is nothing left to say. Can we try to hold on just for now, even if we don't know how to show them what we're all about? They said they won't let us go ahead. Red lights, should we just go back instead? Can we try to hold on just for now, even if we don't know how to show them what we're all about?
Damn, I had a really good bit I was doing too. Let's anyway. Right, hi Beekeeper, hi Willow. My name's Sue, I hate video games. We're not playing video games tonight though, we're playing Lone Wolf, the book where you are the hero. So let's have a little fun. Oh, alright. So, in Fire on... okay, let's start from the top of the page. You are Lone Wolf, last of the Kai Lords. Bitter war rages through your homeland as the evil Dark Lords of the West lay siege to the capital. Alright, there's a bunch of stuff I forgot to do. Alright, let's try that again. You are a lone wolf, last of the Kai Lords. Bitter war rages through your homeland as the evil Dark Lords of the West lay siege to the capital. In Fire on the Water, the king has sent you on a desperate journey to retrieve the only power in Magnamund that can save your people, the Somersford, the Sword of the Sun. Ahead of you lie terrible dangers, ferocious storms, the Tunnel of Tarnaline, and the ghostly death hulks of Vonatar the Traitor. Use your skills wisely, for only you can save your land from the devastation of the Dark Lord. That's the wrong version of the fucking song. You can tell I'm in top form tonight. Alright, let's try that again. Yada yada yada, use your skills wisely, for only you can save your land from the devastation of the Dark Lords. So, thank you to Bad Road for putting my stats back together using the previous stream. Because it did not save, and I'm not sure if I forgot to hit the save button or it just didn't keep the data. But doesn't matter, which is nice. for Titus, Ben Ryan, and Victoria. The story so far. And my neck is really stiff tonight. There's also like a thunderstorm happening, so if I stop for a moment, it's probably me desperately trying to pop my neck. The story so far. In the northern land of Sommerland, it has been the custom for many centuries to send the children of the warrior lords to the monastery of Kai. There they are taught the skills and disciplines of their noble fathers. In olden times, during the Age of the Black Moon, the Dark Lords waged war on Sommerland. The conflict was a long and bitter trial of strength that ended in victory for the Sommerlending at the Great Battle of Machen Gorge. King Ulnar and the allies of Duranor broke the Dark Lord armies at the pass of Moitura and forced them back into the bottomless abyss of the Machen Gorge. Vashna, the mightiest of the Dark Lords, was slain upon the sword of King Ulnar, called Somersverd, the Sword of the Sun. Since that age, the Dark Lords have vowed vengeance upon Sommerland and the House of Ulnar. You are a lone wolf, a young Kai initiate who was learning the secret skills of the Kai Lords. 2 days ago, your peaceful country was plunged into war when a vast Dark Lord army suddenly invaded Sommerland and completely destroyed the Kai monastery. All the Kai Lords were in attendance for the feast of the feast of Feymarn, and all were killed as the monastery was surrounded and destroyed. The walls collapsing in on the assembled company. You, the only Kai Lord to survive the massacre, vowed then to avenge their deaths. You knew your first task was to warn the king, for without the Kai Lords to lead their armies, your country, Sommerland, would be unable to mobilize in time to drive the Dark Lords back. Your journey to the capital was a perilous one indeed. The enemy had overrun much of the country and were marching upon Holmgard, the capital itself. But despite the many dangers, you fought your way through to the capital and delivered your warning to the king's court. There you were greatly praised for your skill and bravery, but told your mission was not complete. With the Kai Lords dead, there remained only one power in all of Magnemund that could save your people from the Dark Lords, the Somersverd. After the defeat of Vashna, the Somersverd had been bestowed upon the allies of Duranor as a mark of trust and allegiance that exists between the two kingdoms. In return, King Alin of Duranor gave Sommerland a magnificent golden ring bearing the royal arms of Duranor. This ring is known as the Seal of Hammerdell. At that time, King Alin vowed that if ever the Shadow of the West could rise again to threaten Sommerland, Duranor would come to aid her ally. The king has given you the Seal of Hammerdall. Your quest is to travel to Duranor to fetch the Somersverd back. But meanwhile, the enemy have broken through the outer defenses to the capital and are preparing to besiege the city wall. As Captain Duval of the King's Guard leads you to the Royal Armory to equip you for your mission, the King's words keep coming back to you. 40 days, Lone Wolf. Have the strength to stand against them for only 40 days. Alright, here we go. Yada yada yada. If you have successfully completed Book 1 of the Lone Wolf series, you will already have your combat skill, endurance points, and Kai disciplines, which you can now carry over with you to Book 2. You may also carry over any weapons and special items that you held at the end of Book 1, and these should be entered onto the new action chart. You're still limited to 2 weapons and 8 backpack items. Though your experiences in Book 1 have learned new skill, or through your experiences in Book 1, you have learned new skills and may choose one extra Kai discipline to add to your action chart. Now read the section on equipment for Book 2 carefully. Alright, what's going to be our new discipline? Camouflage, Mind Shield, Mind Blast, Tracking, or Mind Over Matter. Tracking came up a lot in the first book. That's true. Tracking. I feel like tracking was the one we really could have used. Alright, let's go with tracking then. Right. If you're already carrying weapons from Book 1, you can take this opportunity to exchange one or both of them. Alright, let's see. Guard Captain Duval leads you to the Royal Armory, where your green tunic and Kai cloak are taken from you to be repaired and cleaned. While you await their return, Captain Duval hands you a pouch of gold for the journey. To find out how much gold is in the pouch, pick a number from the random number table. 10 to the number you've picked. If you successfully completed Book 1, you may add this sum. Alright. Alright, 17 more gold crowns. Hell yeah. So that's 50. We're actually maxed out. We exactly maxed out our gold crowns. Excuse me. On a large table in the center of the armory, a number of items have been laid out for your choice. You may take any two of the following. I say we keep the Prince's Sword. We don't need meals generally, and we have 2 if we wind up in a desert or wasteland. Need to find some gold sculptulus to get a bigger wallet. That's right. We can only wear 1 chainmail waistcoat. I feel like another one on top of that would just weigh us down. We can get a healing potion. That's pretty nice. There's only enough for 1 dose and it restores 4 endurance. Quarterstaff, we got a spear, we got a shield that can go in special items. And we'll add an additional 2 points to our combat skill when used in combat. I'm not sure exactly what it means by that. I guess it just adds it on permanently. The chainmail waistcoat we already have one of. See? 4 endurance. But we can drop the axe in favor of the shield. Like that plan? All right. And we'll keep the Prince's Sword. That should go on. Doesn't take up space, I guess, because it's latched to our arm. Oh wait, slung over the shoulder when not in combat, otherwise carried in the hand, so yeah. Food, how to use your equipment, weapons, backpack, special items. May be told when the item is discovered or it may be revealed, yada yada. Got the action chart, or we got the map that we entered as we left the monastery. Seal of Hammerdal. Also carried in the right hand. spell Hammerdoll? Hammer Dal, alright. Just put shield. Plus 4 CS. Means that we can go back to page here and add 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Now I've got a combat skill of 24. That's kind of ludicrous. Rules for combat. That's figured out by the by Scorekeeper. Run away. Right, level of Kai training. The following table is a guide to the ranks and titles that are bestowed upon Kai Lords at each stage of their training. As you successfully complete each adventure in the Lone Wolf series, you gain an additional Kai discipline and gradually progress towards the mastery of the 10 basic disciplines. So we're now on Intuit, I believe. Magna Kai. Let's remove the Magna Kai. Grand Kai. Yada yada. Too off from the max, eh? No, I can keep going. The base you can start with. The base amount that you can start with, though, is 19. Oh, that I could have had at this point. That makes sense. Unless there's some more items that we missed. Your mission will be one of great danger, and the Dark Lords and their servants are a cruel and fierce enemy who give and expect no mercy. Use the map to help you steer a correct course for the capital. Make notes as you progress through the story, for they will be of great help in future adventures. Many things that you find will aid you during your adventure. Some special items will be of use in future Lone Wolf adventures, and others may be red herrings of no real use at all. Right, I should also remove Axe here. There are many routes to Hammerdoll, but only one will enable you to retrieve the Somersford and return to Sommerland with a minimum of danger. A wise choice of Kai disciplines and a great deal of courage will enable any player to complete the mission, no matter how weak their initial combat skill and endurance points scores. The fate of your country hangs on the perilous success of your perilous quest. I'm eating crackers. So if I stop talking suddenly, that's why I'm chewing. Captain Duval and his guards escort you to the Citadel gate, where a small covered wagon awaits you. As soon as you clamber in, the gates are thrown open, and you are hurried away through the crowded streets of Homgard. After a short but uncomfortable journey, the wagon stops and the driver pulls open the canvas flap. "This is the quay, my lord. This is your ship, the Green Scepter." As he speaks, the driver points across the quay to a sleek trade caravel anchored near the harbor wall. "The first mate's name is Ronan. You'll find him waiting for you across the square at the Good Cheer Inn. The driver bids you farewell and quickly disappears into the teeming crowds. Ronan, that sounds like someone who'd be working alone. You reach the inn to find the front doors locked and the window shutters barred. You're trying to decide what to do when a hand grabs your arm and you're pulled into the darkness. You're a lone wolf now reminds me a bit of the opera in Final Fantasy VI. Yeah, it's very cool. The word he, thank you. That is in fact true. And I don't know, it's wild. I guess it's no different than fish, though. Alright, we can draw our weapon and attack our assailant, or pull free of his grasp. You're the lone wolf now, dog! Any preferences? Pull free, assess. Wouldn't attack until we know who it is. Alright. Forgive me, my lord. I did not mean to startle you. The man seems nervous, and the open hand that is extended towards you is shaking quite visibly. With some caution, you accept the gesture of friendship, and sit with the man at a tavern table. The place is deserted, save for a couple of mice gnawing on a large chunk of cheese. Captain Kelman has instructed me to take you to the Green Scepter, but only if I'm sure that you are the Kai Lord they call Lone Wolf. Can you prove your identity? You decide you must show your mastery of one of your Kai disciplines. Healing, Mind Blast, Weapon Skill, Animal Kinship. We could make friends with the mice. Mind over Matter. And if you don't possess any of those, or do not wish to demonstrate a skill, move forward. Now, I want to make friends with the mice, so that's what we're gonna do. Feeling hungry, you say, peering at the two busy house mice in the far corners. Perhaps you'd care for some cheese. Using your Kai discipline, you order the two mice to bring the cheese to you. The sailor looks on in amazement as the two furry creatures deposit the cheese at your feet and then scurry away. You are indeed a Kai Lord, says the sailor, but the astonishment on his face quickly changes to an unpleasant sneer. Or should I say, you were? As he speaks, a door crashes behind you, and you enter. Behind you, and you turn to see 3 harbor thugs advancing toward you. Each is armed with a scimitar, and you have no choice but to fight all 3 as one enemy. Well, 1625. Alright, we're gonna kick some ass. Those mice shouldn't be eating cheese anyway, it's bad for them. It's true, the idea of, that mice like cheese actually comes by an odd coincidence that people in medieval times didn't seal cheese. Most other food would be locked up, but the cheese would be out and very easy for mice to get to. Betrayed by our animal kinship again, right? That's twice now. Enemy killed. Wow, 1 hit. Dang. And we took no damage. I think combat's not going to be a big problem from here on. I mean, at least till we get to the Magna Kai series. The sailor who claimed to be the first mate Ronin seems to have escaped during the fight. You quickly search the bodies of the harbor thugs, but find nothing of value. However, you do notice that each of them has a tattoo of a serpent on their left wrist. Whoever sent them to kill you must already know of the importance of your quest. You leave the tavern by the side door and discover the dead body of a sailor lying beneath the stars. Inside, the collar of his blood-stained jacket is a tag bearing the name Ronin. This must be the real Ronin. He has been murdered. You cover the body and turn towards the quay, where the green scepter is anchored, about 300 yards from the harbor wall. We can use one of the many small boats or coracles that are roped to the quayside, or we can hunt down the imposter who pretended to be Ronin. What kind of wolf are we today? We have tracking, right? It sounds like a tracking problem. Jerkats are cheese. Row the boat from shore. All right, that's one vote for each. I think if we leave that guy alone, he'll just cause more problems. All right. We're gonna hunt him down. You quickly deduce that the imposter must have escaped by the main entrance to the tavern. And if he's still in the harbor area, he must be in or around the main square. You search the buildings and alleyways around the square, but there's no sign of him at all. Rather than waste more time in a fruitless search, you return to the quayside and untie a small coracle from the mooring. As you row toward the green scepter, you begin to feel uneasy that so early in your mission, your enemies seem to have already found you. As you paddle towards the sleek trade caravel, you notice to your surprise that the boarding ladder is being pulled up. A mean-looking sailor leans over the gunwale and curses at you. He seems to think that you're a refugee trying to stow away on board, and that means he's a piece of shit. But when you shout that you're a lone wolf and you are ambushed by an imposter at the tavern, the ladder is soon lowered again. As you climb over the side of the ship, you're met by a tall man in gold-braided uniform. His face is almost totally covered by a shock of bright red hair and a bright red beard. "Haul anchor!" he booms. The crew spring into action as if their very lives depended on it. The captain ushers you below to his cabin where he pours 2 glasses of Vonlo, a strong spirit. His face shows concern as you tell him what's happened. There's evil treachery at work, and the enemy already has plans afoot to thwart your quest, he begins when you've told your tale. It seems that you have lost the element of surprise, and I've lost a courageous first mate. Let us only hope that the voyage to Doranor be swift and safe. You leave him to go up on deck just in time to see the outline of Holmgard on the horizon. With mixed feelings of pride and apprehension, you descend the stairway to your cabin as the last spire of the capital disappears from view. Pick a number from the random number table. One. The following morning, you're woken by the cry of seagulls as they wheel and soar above the clipper. The wind is strong, and it fills the sails. Your breakfast with Captain Kelman, who's in better spirits than the previous day. You breakfast with Captain Kelman. Okay, there. That was confusing to read. You breakfast with Captain Kelman, who is in better spirits than the previous day. He tells you that the Green Scepter is making good speed and should arrive at Port Box, the main Duranese seaport, within a week. Suddenly you hear a cry from the crow's nest. Land off the port bow, land a port! You and the captain climb up on deck and brace yourselves against the fresh spring breeze. That's Mammen, the southernmost island of the Kerlunden chain, says the captain, pointing towards the sharp, rocky coastline in the distance. Wreck Point, the traders call it. Many a ship's ended her days upon those granite teeth. Captain Kalman hands you an ornate telescope with which to take a closer look. The sharp rocks are festooned with splintered skeletons of ships that have run aground or were dashed against the shore in a storm. You stare in fascination at the shattered hulls, imagining the terrifying scenes of their destruction. Then, suddenly, high above the pinnacles of stone hovers a black shadow, like a small rain cloud. It seems to be moving toward you. Suddenly you realize what the cloud really is. It's a swarm of large Schlanbeast, and possibly some Kron. The alarm is shouted along the deck. Prepare for battle! In 100 years, it'll be called the Cape of Good Hope. Oh no. Alright. We can stay up on deck, ready our weapon, or we can hide in our cabin. Now, we can definitely handle this more easily than probably anyone on board. So let's do that. You were right. The cloud is made of huge Schlanbeast and many Kron, a smaller species, but one is just as deadly. One that is just as deadly. Hanging below their black bellies are nets full of jacks. As the Schlanbeasts descend on the green scepter, a net of shrieking jacks crashes onto the deck behind you. Some are crushed in the fall, many have survived and waste no time attacking you. You must fight them as one enemy. It's so unbecoming to hide, it's true. Alright, so we're looking at 15 and 15. And probably kill him in one hit again. Enemy killed, yep. And we still haven't taken damage. Yeah, it gets real fucking easy if you roll high on combat skill. Maybe I should have gone with the low number we started with. A fierce battle now rages through the ship as the evil jacks fight to win control of the green scepter. Perched high up in the masts, the Kron are rending the sails with their talons and razor-sharp teeth, whilst the Schlanbeast have flown back towards Wreck Point to pick up some more nets of malicious jacks. Through the body-strewn decks, a menacing shape looms. Both jacks and sailors are cut down by the creature as it advances toward you. It is a Drakkar, a cruel warrior of the Dark Lords. Raising his jet-black broadsword, he attacks, and you must fight him to the death. 16. 24. And give us something real to fight. Give us an enemy here. Oh wow. Just did 2 damage to us. It heard me talking shit. Oh. Did 1 more damage, but it's down to 3 EP. At least it's capable of damaging us. Alright, let's head back over to our character sheet so we can... Okay, it's fine. Seeing their master slain, the jacks falter and retreat toward the stern. Captain Kalman rallies his crew and attacks, leading his men against the snarling creatures and driving them back until they leap into the sea to avoid the rain of swords. Knowing the battle to be lost, the Kron leave the masts and fly back to the distant coastline. Our thanks, Kai Lord, the captain says and shakes your hand. We're proud and thankful to have you with us. A cheer resounds along the deck as the crew voice their praise. You help tend the wounded, whilst repairs are carried out on the damaged masts. Within 2 hours, they're complete. The wind fills the sails, and you continue your voyage to Duranor. I think the Dark Lords have learned of wars of attrition, but misunderstand how they work. I like that. Oh. After 3 uneventful days at sea, you find shipboard life rather dreary. If you have the high discipline of healing, any endurance points you may have lost on your adventure so far are restored. This will bring your endurance point score back to its original one. If you do not possess the skill, restore half of any points you've lost in combat. On the afternoon of the 4th day, you're talking with an injured sailor up on deck when you smell smoke seeping from the hold. Enter the hold, shout fire, or warn the captain. The attack wouldn't have happened if you hadn't been aboard. That's very possible. Very, very possible indeed. Shout fire. All right, 1 vote for shouting fire. Raise the alarm first. Right. Agreed. Find a crowded room to shout fire. Jesus Christ. Suddenly, panic strikes. The ship is thrown into a frenzy of activities as sailors grab buckets and blankets with which to fight the fire. Flames are roaring through the hatch cover, and it takes over an hour to contain the blaze. The damage to the ship is great. The entire store of food and fresh water has been destroyed, and the midsection of the ship badly weakened. The captain appears from out of the smoking hold and approaches you, his face black with soot. He is carrying something in a bundle under his arms. "We must talk in private, my lord," he says quietly. Without responding, you turn and follow him to his cabin. After taking care to close his door, the captain opens the mysterious bundle and tips the contents onto his cabin table. A large charred earthenware jug and several blackened rags drop in a heap. They give off a strange, oily smell. So yeah, that's just like a Molotov cocktail, but made with clay instead of glass. "This was no accidental fire," he says solemnly. "This was an act of sabotage. The forward hold is a food store, yet I find this oil jug and these soaked rags upon the floor. Someone on this ship is prepared to risk his life to stop us reaching Duranor." You both stare at the burnt rags as if they hold the answer to your questions. Suddenly, a cry from up on deck breaks the silence. "Ship ahoy! Ship off the port bow!" Grabbing his sword and telescope, the captain disappears through the door and up the ladder to the deck above. Follow him or make a quick search of his cabin. Now that's an odd choice. But maybe it was the captain who did it and he's trying to pull attention away from himself. That's the paranoia we're looking at here. "Sail me closer, I want to hit him with my sword." I do love that. I do love that meme. Y'all think we should suspect the captain? Or shall we run up on deck and see what this ship hullabaloo is all about? We should exonerate the captain, alright. Search the cabin. Alright, let's search the cabin. Keeping one eye on the door, you quickly search the drawers of an ornate chart table. There does not appear to be anything unusual about the contents. You find many charts, island maps, and navigational instruments. You're about to abandon this fruitless search when you notice a small lever hidden below the tabletop. You push it, and a panel flips open to reveal a small wooden box with a brass lock. So we don't have mind over matter. But we can try to prise open the lock. We're gonna find out afterwards it was a puzzle box the whole time. Pop the lock. My thoughts exactly. Using the edge of a steel rule to prise open the lock, you suddenly feel a sharp pain in your chest. A cunning trap has been laid, and as you open the box, a small needle shoots out and embeds itself in your flesh. It is tipped with a deadly poison. You die instantly. Your mission in life have come to a tragic end. No, I'm just kidding. We can just hit the back button. Well, dang. I guess we just have to go up on deck. Even so, we know that box is hidden there. We just don't know what. And metagaming, we know it's something that is valuable enough to be trapped with deadly poison. Aye, it seems our bird has flown, says the captain, pointing to a longboat swiftly moving toward another ship on the horizon. She flies no flag, and her hull is of a strange shape I ne'er before seen the like. You watch as the longbow reaches the mysterious ship. As if by magic, a sea fog appears from nowhere and engulfs the vessel. Moments later, both the ship and the fog have disappeared. Alright, we roll a d10. Eight. The poison for Kuzco. The poison chosen specifically to kill Kuzco. Kuzco's poison. The crew start to whisper. You hear the words ghost ship and cursed voyage. But the muttering stops when the captain's voice booms out an order for all hands on deck. Only the creaking of the timbers can be heard as Captain Kelman climbs to the rear deck to address the crew. Men, we're 3 days' sail from Port Box. The fires robbed us of our provisions, and our fresh water has been fouled. We shall have to steer a new course for Ragadorn, where we shall make good our repairs and replenish our stores. That is all. Then the captain turns to you. We're about 8 hours from Ragadorn, my lord. My orders are to see us safely to Port Box and pass you into the care of Somlanding Consul or Lieutenant Rygar. Oh yeah, that's the guy with the shield on the yo-yo string, right? But time is not our ally, and I fear the repairs may take a week or more to complete. When we drop anchor, you will have to find your own route to Doranor. By sea with us, or alone by the coast road. As you return to your cabin, the king's words haunt your thoughts. 40 days, Lone Wolf. We only have the strength to stand against them for 40 days. Not have long to complete your dangerous mission. As dawn breaks, a fierce storm rises, and you're woken by the violent rocking of the ship. The floor of your cabin is awash, and the shouts of the crew can hardly be heard above the howling wind. You quickly dress, gather up your equipment, and make your way by the deck. You're soon joined by the captain, who takes hold of your arm and orders you to return to your cabin. Suddenly, as you start to go down, there's a thunderous crack as, high in the rigging, part of the mast snaps. You look up to see the shattered pole falling towards you. Another dice roll. 9. That's probably good. As the mast smashes into the deck, a splintered beam hits your head and you're knocked overboard. Gasping for air, you fight your way to the surface and catch hold of a hatch cover. You're half stunned and lose 2 endurance points. You pull yourself onto the makeshift raft and cling to it with all your strength. If you're wearing a chainmail waistcoat, you must discard it now or you will drown for sure. Well, that's a shame. Here. Right. Now we do not have that +4 bonus. You feel dizzy and sick. As the heaving sea buffets you relentlessly, you gradually slip into unconsciousness. When you awake many hours later, the storm has passed. By the position of the sun, you judge it to be late afternoon. In the distance, you can see a small fishing boat, and beyond it, on the horizon, land. The only trace of the green scepter is the hatch cover on which you now sit. We can try to use our cloak to signal the fishing boat, or ignore the boat, or just paddle toward the shore. Bad Road says signal the boat. Willow says signal the boat. Alright, that's 2 votes. Vote for the boat. You desperately wave your Kai cloak above your head until you're near to exhaustion. Another die roll. 9. You conclude that the crew are either blind or have no intention of rescuing you. The fishing boat continues on its course out to sea and, without seeming to notice you, disappears over the horizon. Pulling off a loose plank from the hatch cover and using it as a makeshift oar, you set about paddling towards the shore. When you're only 50 yards offshore, you slip into the waves and swim toward land. When you finally reach the beach, you sink your fingers deep into the wet sand and slowly claw your way up the beach to the shelter of some dunes. You're exhausted and very hungry. The only possessions that you have saved are your gold crowns, your backpack, and any special items that you did not discard in the storm. Any weapons and backpack items that you possessed before the storm have been lost. Well, dang, we lost the prince's sword and all. Plus, both our meals and our soap. So we can't even, like, clean ourselves. Let's see. Dang, I liked that sword. Alright, make the necessary adjustments to your action chart. However, a few hundred yards away, you notice clumps of small, twisted trees laden with purple fruit. If you have the Kai discipline of hunting... Bum 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 bum! The training that you received in the art of hunting has taught you to recognize most of the poisonous and non-poisonous fruits to be found in northern Magnamund. These purple fruits are laranuma, a sweet and nutritious food. You quickly eat your fill and then store enough of them in your backpack for 2 meals. So now we get our 2 meals back. Beyond the laranuma trees, you notice a wide coast road that disappears toward the east and west. We can head east or west. I mean, this one we might as well just roll a die for, right? Flip a coin, east. Alright, I'm just gonna roll a d6. 1, 2, 3, we go west. 4, 5, 6, we go east. East it is. You walk for over 3 hours along the lonely coast road before night begins to fall. You're very tired and you decide to get some sleep and continue at dawn. You remember the tales told by your Kai masters of the wildlands between Sommerland and Duranor, or packs of wild dogs roam the wastelands at night. With these stories in mind, you decide to spend the night in the safety of a large leafy tree at the edge of the road. Your rest is very refreshing. Restore 2 endurance points if any have been lost. I guess they should have come back by now anyway. And turn to 312. Although you awake to a cold and rain-swept dawn, the branches of the tree and your Kai cloak have kept you warm and dry during the night. Looking along the coast road, in the distance you can see a wagon heading toward you. You wish to get down from the tree and flag it down, or we could try jumping onto it as it passes beneath our branch. Just go full fucking Robin Hood and his merry men on that shit. Just loop on the crap out of it. Just some other story where people ambush wagons. Alright, Willow says, or Beekeeper says, let's be polite. So that's 1 vote for flagging it down, unless you've got a very different idea of what polite means than I do. Alright, let's flag it down. Oh, same? Alright, perfect. It's a large passenger wagon, similar to those used by highway travelers of Sommerland. The driver pulls the horses to a halt and stares at you from the wide brim of his hat. You ask where he's bound for. We're bound for Raggadorn, due there by noon today. A seat'll cost you 3 crowns. They can ride on the roof for 1. Well, honestly, we have 50 crowns. We may as well pay for the seat. Unless someone has immediate objections. Spend 1, says Beekeeper. Buy the seat, says Bad Road. Alright, Willow, you're the tiebreaker. Seat? Sorry, Beekeeper. We gotta spend all 3. Inside the coach, it's warm and dry. Shaking the rain from your Kai cloak, you note 3 other passengers on board. 2 women and a man who is snoring loudly. One of the women looks up and smiles. We should reach Raggadorn in 6 hours, she says, placing her basket on the floor so you can sit beside her. You learn that she lives in Raggadorn, and she tells you a little about the port. Since Killian the Overlord died 3 years ago, Raggadorn's been ruled by Lachlan, his evil son. He and his mercenaries are nothing but pirates. They bleed the people dry with their heavy taxes, and if anyone complains, they are quietly disposed of. It's a sorry state of affairs. If you take my advice, you'll leave Raggadorn as soon as possible. During the journey, you must eat a meal or lose 3 endurance points. I feel like we should not allow hunting to get us by a meal on the wagon. Because what the fuck are we going to hunt while riding on a wagon? Right? So I'm going to count that as being a meal from the backpack. Just got 2 meals from hunting. There you go. Then in the distance, you hear a bell tolling. You look out of the window to see the city wall of Raggadorn. The coach passes through the west gate and pulls to a halt. As you jump to the ground, you're greeted by the awful smell of this dingy seaport. A rusty sign nailed to a wall says, "Welcome to Ragadorn." The woman tells you that you can board a coach to Port Bax at the coach station near the east gate of the city. We can walk north into the Westgate Lane, walk south along West Bank Walk, or we can walk east into Axe Lane. These all sound like terrible streets. Let's see. All right. Which street are we going down? I feel like we're gonna be accosted by pirates no matter where we go. We don't have an axe. Maybe we can find one. Yes, but what about second axe? The most direct course out of there would be best, says Beekeeper. Which I'm not 100% sure which way that would be. I wonder who sank our ship. I may have to go back and check that later. Was it the cap? It seems like it was the captain who was doing it, but that may be a red herring. Willow says east. Where do we catch the coach? It doesn't say. I don't think. The coach station near the east gate of the city. Okay, so that would be east, yes. Alright, well, let's head east to Axe Lane then. This rubbish-strewn cobbled street runs between the rows of ramshackle, rot-infested houses and shops. The few inhabitants of Ragadorn that you see appear a cheerless lot, their faces haggard and drawn. They shuffle through the gloom, hunched against the pouring rain, their eyes fixed on the cobblestones at their feet. Then you reach a junction where Axe Lane bends toward the north and another street heads off toward the east. We can go north to Black Knight Street or east to Sage Street. Now, hear me out. Sage is much better on chicken than Black Knight is. You know, Black Knight ain't bad. It's just people have this habit of overusing it. You know, makes everything taste like armor. Sage is cleansing. Head east, we're low on time. All right. This street seems dirtier and smellier than the one you have just been down. The cluttered window of a shop to your left catches your attention. In the window are many useful items, all of which bear a price tag. You may enter and purchase any of the above items. Remember to mark them on your action chart. I feel like the fur blanket is going to come in handy at some point. And we do need a new sword. So let's drop the sword in here. And in the backpack goes the fur blanket. Oh wait, we need a new backpack, don't we? So that's according to the Lone Wolf Club newsletter number 12, realistically you can only wear one backpack at a time and carry a maximum of 8 backpack items. Okay, so there's actually a ruling on that. That's kind of fun. We still have the backpack, we just dumped it out. Okay. Alright, so we need to spend 5 gold crowns. Now we turn to 1-8. Wait, there's more to read. You can enter, yada yada. When you've completed your purchase, you continue your way along Sage Street toward the Ragadorn Bridge. This bridge is the only connection between the east and west sides of the port. and you push your way through the crowds of people and carts. You find yourself in a rubbish-strewn thoroughfare known as East Trade Lane. You're standing opposite a large building with a sign on the wall, Raggadorn Stables and Coach Station. A green-clad coachman is sitting next to a notice board that reads Portback's journey time 7 days. If you wish to approach the coachman and buy a ticket for the journey, turn to 136, but if you have not the money, well, I wonder how much this is going to cost. The fare to Portbacks is 20 gold crowns, says the coachman in a gruff Raggadornian accent. Do we want to purchase a ticket for 20 crowns, or we can just say fuck it and walk, I guess. That is a lot of money, but we also have quite a lot of money. Beekeeper says we can afford it, yeah. Need to go fast. Alright, so that's one vote for buying the ticket. Gotta go quick. Alright. That puts us now at 22. You pocket the ticket. Mark this as a special item on the action chart. Coach tickets. And the main gate takes you to a coach that is waiting near the east gate of the seaport. It's empty, and you take a seat near one of its circular windows. You're relieved to find that the seat is quite comfortable, for the journey to Portbacks will take 7 days. Stowing your equipment beneath the seat, you settle back in, comfort, and doze off. When you awake, there are 5 other passengers, and the journey to Dorinar has already begun. Time to roll a die. 6. You've been traveling for nearly 2 hours when the driver shouts, "Toll bridge ahead, 1 crown apiece." Looking out the window, it's pouring down with rain, but you can just make out a wooden bridge and a log cabin in the distance. The driver halts and the coach at the log cabin, and an ugly creature appears at the doorway. It's a warty-skinned Zal, a harmless and cowardly breed of jack. They've been natives of the Wildlands since the age of the Black Moon, when thousands of their kind migrated from the Derncrag Mountains to avoid the tyranny of Vashna, the mightiest of the Dark Lords. The Zal demands 1 gold crown from each passenger before the coach will be allowed to pass. The other passengers each place 1 crown upon a small plate and hand it to you. If you have enough gold to pay the toll, do so and continue on. Like, no, don't turn this into a thing. During the course of the afternoon's journey, you chat with your fellow travelers and learn about their backgrounds. Yes, there are peaceful jacks. Sitting opposite are 2 brothers named Ganon and Dorier. I don't trust this Ganon guy. Something about him. They're knights in the Order of the White Mountain, warrior lords of Durinar, who have pledged allegiance to protect the country from raids by bandits of the Wildlands. They own a castle and land near Portbacks. Next to them sits Havork the Merchant. His nose is swollen and his face badly bruised thanks to Lachlan, the overlord of Raggadorn. A little misunderstanding about port taxes lost him his cargo and most of his gold. Seated by the far door is a priest called Parshin. Like you, he's Somerlending, who has journeyed across the Wildlands by coach on his way to Portbacks. Beside you sits a young woman called Vivica. She's a mercenary adventuress. I'm sorry, gendering the word adventure is very funny to me. Who earns her gold by fighting for it and sells her services to the highest bidder. She's returning to Portbacks having collected payment for a successful adventure in Raggadorn. Not wishing to reveal your true identity, you have pretended to be a simple peasant. The travelers seem unaware of the war that now rages in Sommerland. Adventurix, there you go. At dusk, the coach stops at an inn on the coast road to Port Bax. The cost of a room for the night is 1 gold crown for coach passengers and 3 for anyone else. As you're about to enter, the coach driver demands to see your ticket. Alright, we do in fact have that ticket. The driver nods and hands back the ticket. The inn is warm but poorly furnished. You must eat a meal here, which will cost you 1 gold crown unless you have a meal in your backpack. The Kai discipline of hunting cannot be used when instructed to eat a meal on your journey through the wildlands, as it is a barren wasteland inhabited only by creatures called Zals, a weak and cowardly... I wish they'd stop saying that. Alright. So I say we buy a meal right now so that we still have 1 meal of fruit left in our backpack. And then another gold crown for the room. You sleep deeply without being disturbed before rising at dawn, gathering your equipment and joining the others as they board the coach. For 2 days and nights, the coach follows the trade route across the flat, treeless wildlands. It stops only to allow your driver to sleep, but on the morning of the 9th day of your quest, there is an unfortunate accident. A lot of accidents happening today. That would be a 0. You're traveling along a narrow section of coast road, which follows a dizzy course beneath high overhanging cliffs. A rockfall has blocked the road ahead, and you must stop to clear it. You're helping the driver to lever a large rock from the path of the carriage when you hear the sound of falling rocks. A boulder crashes down from the overhanging cliff, killing the driver before you can make any attempt to save him. He was standing less than 6 feet away from you at the time of his death. We do have Spidey sense, correct? Yeah. You sense that someone is on the cliff above, and that they were intended, and that you were the intended victim of their attack. Someone is trying to kill you. Can't eat gold. That's true. At least most of us can't. Slowly, one by one, the other travelers appear and stare in shock at the dead coachman. "We must bury him," says the priest. You silently nod your agreement and prepare a grave in which to lay his corpse. And as you all walk back to the coach, you discuss what should be done. "I know the road to Port Bax." "I'd better drive the coach," volunteers Havork. "I do hope we're not blamed for his death," says the priest nervously. "That was an act of the gods," says Dorier. "I shall testify to that," says Ganon. "Lies are never spoken of the Knights of the White Mountain." Lies are never spoken by the Knights of the White Mountain. There we go. Again, thank y'all for being here, listening to a dyslexic person read a book. It's true that in Duranor, a true knight will speak only the truth, whether for his own good or ill. His words seem to reassure the priest, and you are all soon once more on the road heading toward the east horizon. It's late in the afternoon when you arrive at a coach station in a small coastal village known as the Gorn Cove, which is mainly populated by outcasts, thieves, and Zals. The death of the coachman is met by volunteers with great suspicion, but Dorier's words convince them that it was accidental. There is only one inn in the village, a tavern known as the Forlorn Hope. Its state of disrepair is typical of all the other hovels in this poor sea village. A room for the night costs 1 gold crown. Man, they're really having us go through gold fast, huh? The innkeeper is a thin old man with only one eye. He hands you a key and points to the balcony opposite. "Number 2, the red door," he says. The other travelers each pay their own crown, collect a key, and make their way across the crowded tavern floor toward the stairs. "We must make plans for tomorrow," says Dorier. The others all nod in agreement. "I suggest we meet here in the bar in 1 hour to decide what to do." As you close the red door of your room, for some unknown reason you recall the words of Captain Kelman when you left Holmgard Harbor. "There's evil treachery at work. The enemy already has plans afoot to thwart your quest." An hour is nearly past when your thoughts are disturbed by a knock at the door. It's the innkeeper, and he's carrying a tray of hot food. "With the compliments of one of your friends," he says, and leaves the food before you can ask which one. "You've not eaten today, and the food does smell appetizing." "We do have hunting." "I have a feeling it's poisoned. You know, just a hunch." The food smells delicious, but you notice there are 2 or 3 drops of clear liquid on the side of the plate, and another on the tray. At first you suspect it's only water until you touch the fluid and notice that it is sticky. You recognize it as sap from a nadorn tree, a deadly poison used by assassins because of its lack of flavor or scent. The shock of your discovery soon turns to anger, and you race out the room, intent on discovering the identity of your enemy. You must eat another meal in place of this poisoned food, or lose 3 endurance points. Alright, we'll eat our last backpack meal. Sorry, brain shut off there. By the time you reach the bar, is this just gonna be Murder on the Orient Express? By the time you reach the bar, the others are all seated at a large table awaiting your appearance. Drawing closer to the table, you realize you found your would-be assassin. You will have to attack without giving any warning to your enemy, so study your fellow travelers carefully and make your decision. Bum bum bum. I have no idea. This guy has a snake tattooed on his wrist. That's probably something. I don't know which character that is. That's Havork. These 2 are probably Dorian and the other guy. So I think it's the priest. Because this guy is a Snursen from the Great Snurch. Ganon. Yeah. Yeah. Just cause he's named Ganon. I thought of that too. Yeah, I think that Parshan is definitely our go here. You know, I've had dealings with the Snemple before, and it's never gone well. The priest does not seem to be surprised by your attack, and he draws a black sword from beneath his robes. Yep, we nailed it. 16 and 23. Right? Enemy killed. Alright, and we are at 22 HP. Which is already recorded. I keep forgetting it does that. Searching the body, you discover all you need to prove that he was the assassin. Inside his pockets, you find a half-empty vial of Nadorn sap, the deadly poison that was used to taint your food. There is a scroll written in Jack giving details of your expected arrivals in Port Box. He must have located you at Raggadorn and hatched his murder plans there. You notice that the weapon he carries is a Dark Lord blade, fashioned of black steel and forged in the furnaces of Hel'Gadah, the infernal city of the Dark Lords beyond the Derncrag range. Only there in all of vast Magnamund can black steel be made. But the final proof of his true identity is the serpent tattoo on his left wrist. Ah, I knew it! The harbor thugs who attempted to kill you before you had even left Homeguard bore exactly that same mark. His purse contains 23 crowns that you may keep. Hooray, that's most of our money back. That puts us at 41. Doesn't let us take the black steel blade. Admittedly, I think that going around with a black steel blade would have the same effect as those fucking douchebags who walked around with their fucking high caliber rifles once open carry became legal. The other travelers stare in horror and disbelief at what you've done. Before you can explain yourself, there's a loud crash as the front door is thrown open. In rush 6 armored soldiers led by the innkeeper. They're the town guard, and the one-eyed innkeeper is screaming at them to arrest you. So we can fight them or we can run like hell. It's tempting to fight them, I know, but it does seem like it would be... Yeah, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. It does seem like it'd be a lot of time wasted. 23. Fighting's a waste of time? Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. They know no better. They are still cops, but, you know. Alright, let's try running out the rear door. Although night has fallen, a full moon casts a bright light upon the village. Behind the tavern, you see a small wheelwright's shop and with 2 horses hitched to a hay cart. We have camouflage. Do we have... I don't think we have camouflage, do we? No, we don't have camouflage. So we can take a horse and escape, or we can hide behind the wheelwright's shop. Interesting choices available. Gonna hit save here real quick. Choices are once again run or hide. We're already a murderer. Horse thief isn't any worse. They're gonna let you ride a cart horse, aren't they? Yeah, like, unrealistic for certain. For once, Willow thinks hiding is a good plan. Alright. Beekeeper. You are the tiebreaker. Shall we ride a cart horse or duck behind the shop? Riding away on a cart horse is kind of a spaghetti western trope. Something that John Wayne brought into popularity. He's not good. Hide in the hay cart and wait to ride out. Alright, so we're gonna call this hide at the wheelwright's shop. That's the closest we've got there. If John Wayne did it, definitely hide. You slam the door shut and draw the bolt. The shop is dark. I thought we were hiding behind it, not in it. The shop is dark, but you can still make out the staircase to your right, a trapdoor in the center of the floor, and another door in the opposite wall. Suddenly, there's a crash as an axe splinters the panel of the door behind you. You've been spotted entering the shop, and the mob are breaking down the door. Hide in the cellar, leave out the back, or run upstairs. Turn one of the horses loose and hide, let them chase the horses. Like, yeah. You've got creative solutions, but I wish the book would allow me to peruse them. Leave, leave, and leave. All right. As you race through the door, you're knocked off your feet by the force of a spear thrust into your chest. As the moonlight fades, the last thing you see, this world, is a circle of screaming villagers as they stab and hack you to death. Your life and quest end here. We already did this bit. Alright, run upstairs or hide in the cellar. Honestly, getting out of there as quick as possible was the logical choice. We should have taken the horse. Upstairs, cellar seems like suicide. Alright. Let's try running up the stairs then. As you reach the landing of the next floor, you hear the door crash open and the angry mob pour through. At the top, this is just Resident Evil 4. This is just Resident Evil 4 we're playing right now, right? This is literally the beginning of Resident Evil 4. Yes and no. Not until Risby comes in, and then you can come up. Shoo. Alright. As you reach the landing of the next floor, you hear the door crash open and the angry mob pour through. At the top of the stairs, a short sword hangs on a hook by the fireplace. You may take this weapon if you wish. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have a second weapon if our main middle sword gets busted. Looking around you, you see that there's only one way to escape from this room, and that's to jump through the window to the street below. No, I'm not even joking. This is just the beginning of Resident Evil 4. We can jump through the window or stand and fight the mob as they run up the stairs. We would have the advantage. Even Anakin Skywalker couldn't win when Obi-Wan had the high ground. Which again, I will point to Dark Souls and every game of its ilk now. Having the low ground is a much better advantage. Ooh. Oh, that's nice. My neck finally popped. Jump, says Beekeeper. And we are an athlete. We are strong. We are nimble. So we would be able to land and not break our legs. It's still gonna be a tough impact, but I think we can roll through. Battered also says keep running. All right, that's 2 votes. You crash to the muddy street in a shower of broken glass. It was awesome. You're winded by the fall, but otherwise unharmed. An angry villager armed with a cudgel tries to smash your skull. But you roll aside, jump to your feet, and sprint away down the twisting street before he has struck his blow. Then an ugly Zal on horseback charges toward you with a raised spear. Hey. Enough with the human beauty standards here. That's a joke about white privilege and white beauty standards that I just made. It probably wasn't that funny. He is about to stab you when you sidestep and grab the weapon, pulling it and the Zal from the side. That's just by reflex. We can keep the spear, but I don't think we will. We can stab the Zal with his own spear, or try to mount his horse and escape. Sounds like the rain just kicked in real hard. Take the horse. This one's actually a riding horse, right? Let's see. Yeah, this one's actually a riding horse, so this is definitely the better choice. Horse theft. All right. We're gonna go there once I come back in a few minutes. Before that, I want to remind you that there is a civil rights movement happening around the country and the wider world. Black Americans, people of color, are fighting for things that shouldn't have to be fought for, like equal rights, equal treatment under the law, and to not be attacked, terrorized, and even murdered by the police. We have listed here some ways that you can help. They include the Bail Fund Network to help keep protesters out of jail, the Okra Project, and the Black Trans Travel Fund to help Black trans and non-binary people with food, supplies, and travel out of dangerous situations, and the Black Hills Legal Fund, the Lakota People's Fund to take back their land to 6 grandfathers that was stolen by white people, arbitrarily renamed to Mount Rushmore, and then had some white slave owners' faces carved into the side of it. Black lives matter. The lives of people of color matter. Indigenous lives and lands matter. Asian and Pacific Islander lives matter. These are things we have to keep saying and pushing and fighting for until the people all the way up to the very top not only understand and acknowledge them, but work to make them real, protected truths. All right, we're gonna hit that break screen, and we'll see you back here in about 5 minutes. See you soon. Alright, sorry about that. Went a little long. This factory game is way more fun than it has any right to be. Hell yeah. Glad to hear you're enjoying yourself. Alright, let's get back into it. Ooh. Still sick. Half functioning now. Still sick like last week. Alright, here we go. You spur the horse along the twisting village street, cross a wooden bridge and up a steep path towards the crest of the cove. In the light of the moon, you catch a glimpse of a signpost pointing eastward. You ride all night without sleep. As the dawn breaks, you're greeted by a startling change of landscape. The barren wildlands have given way to moors and waterlogged fens, and a dark shadow runs the length of the eastern horizon as far as the eye can see. This is the Duranor Forest, the natural frontier of the mountains kingdoms, where it borders the untamed wildlands. It is indeed a welcome sight. You're no more than a day's ride from Port Bax, but you are tired after your night ride and must eat a meal or lose 3 endurance points. We can use the skill to trap a wild moor rat or marsh bird for our breakfast. Because we're now leaving the wildlands and heading into the Duranor Forest, and may once again use hunting to hunt for food. Alright. Hunting to the rescue. Also, I guess we're back up to 27 by now, surely. After an hour's ride, you come to a fork in the road. There is no signpost. Left or right? What do we got here? This is basically another coin flip if no one has any preference. Willow says left. Alright. Left it is. The road follows a course along a high grassy ridge for many miles before turning northward to the coast. You pass a village where the houses curve in a circle around a large pond of stagnant water. As you ride through, a gaggle of Zal children come running toward you, shouting and throwing stones. You descend into the deep valley beyond, and gradually the moor gives way to richer land that has been cleared and plowed. The hillside opposite is heavily wooded. You're not far from the coast, and you can see the tall cliffs with their multicolored bands of rock jutting out from the ocean. Then, just as you're passing through a small copse, you hear desperate cries for help off to the right. We can either aid the people in trouble or ignore their desperate pleas. Dang, that's some guilting right there. What are we, a cop? Help them. You spur your horse toward the tangle of trees until you enter a small clearing. 6 Zals are jumping excitedly around the writhing body of a man on the ground. A strangely carved spear is stuck in his chest, and lying dead beside him is the body of a knight of the White Mountain. The creatures are shrieking at each other and appear to be unconcerned with the man's obvious agony. We do in fact have the Kai discipline of healing, or a healing potion, or some Lomspur. Yeah, we can either try healing him or we can attack the Zal. I'm gonna say we try healing him. You try to apply your hands to the injured man's chest, but the Zals are pulling at your cloak and trying to drag you away. We do not possess the skill Camouflage. So I guess we're gonna have to fight. The cowardlies all squeal in terror and run in all directions to avoid your blows. They've soon fled from the clearing, and you turn to help the dying man. He's barely alive and far too weak to walk. We can remove the spear from his chest or search his pack for useful items. Oh my god. Oh, that's fucked up. We're gonna try to remove the spear from his chest, which isn't necessarily the best idea. The carved spear is made of metal, yet it feels light, as if it were made of wood. You notice the shaft is covered in runes and magic emblems. As you carefully pull it from the man's chest, he gives a long sigh of relief. You're about to examine his wound when you feel a searing pain through your head. It's so strong and painful that you collapse to the ground. Lose 2 endurance points. Loot that body, loot that body. You're amazed to see the man jump to his feet, and then horrified to see the dreadful change that comes over him. The skin of his face appears to be writhing and changing color, growing darker and shrinking as it decays on his skull. His eyes burn with a bright red glow and long fangs protrude from his bottom jaw. You choke with fear as you realize that he is a Helghast, a nightmarish agent of the Dark Lords. It is attacking you with its powerful Mind Force. If you do not have the Kai discipline of Mind Shield, you will lose 2 endurance points for every round of combat that you fight with this creature. Normal weapons cannot harm it, and it is immune to Mind Blast. You can only wound it in combat with a magical spear. It's a weapon-like special item. Remember that you only get a weapon skill bonus in this fight if you have weapon skill with spear. So, currently our combat skill is down to 24 versus his 22. There is not a place here. Should have had that off in the first place, I think. I don't think that even comes into play until the Grand Kai. I may be wrong, though. Alright, so 22 and 30. And we take 2 additional points of damage each round. We had the +2 for the sword, but we're using a spear. Yep. The correct choice was to ignore him? That's a terrible lesson. Okay, let's fight to the death. Y'all remember Helghasts in the... For any of you who were around at that time when I did the video game Lone Wolf, that is Lone Wolf, the game where you are the hero, which is a really funny joke. Alright, so let's go. And then I have to manually reduce our HP by 2, 300, yeah, each round. Alright. It's giving us +4. Oh, right, the shield. The shield is huge. And it wasn't carried in the backpack, so we got to keep it. It does not refer to it as two-handed, so yeah, we can use the spear. Or the shield and the spear, rather. 22 and 30. Alright. Let's make the rolls. Alright. We're hurting each other. Wait, I'm also supposed to... There we go. We're at 15. Oh, 14 to 8. Enemy killed. Ooh. We have 14 combat skill still. Or endurance points still. And... I guess over in special items, we'll replace the short spear with it. Magic spear. No, it's under special items. It doesn't even count as a weapon. Magic spear. There we go. You search in his pack and are horrified to find that it contains a scroll of human skin upon which a message has been written in a strange runic script. The only word you can make out is Kai. You also find an evil-looking dagger with a black blade and a block of cold obsidian. These items bear signs of the Dark Lord's craft. Something is very wrong here. You drop the pack as quickly as if it were red hot and turn to mount your horse. To your dismay, you find it is no longer there. The Zals must have stolen it. Well, honestly, we kinda deserved that. They were literally keeping this man from getting up and attacking us. They even tried to warn us. Dang. So the actual lesson is prejudice hurts us all. You've been walking for nearly 2 hours when you reach the peak of a hill and see the Durinor forest stretched out before you. The road bears eastward and enters the trees at a point where a large wooden door has been built. Wooden tower has been built. You can see the silhouette of a soldier on guard. We can continue our journey toward the watchtower or avoid the guard, making a wide detour and enter the forest further south. So do we head directly toward the tower, which is in our path, or do we skirt around it in the forest? This one I'm torn on. We don't know who controls this tower. Like, at all. I don't think we have any way of knowing. Not liking that we're still hurt, that's true. Though we do have one more. No, actually 2 more, because there was one before this. Yeah, we're currently at 16 out of 27 endurance. Bad Road says through the forest. Can I count you on that one as well, Willow? Alright. You push on through the dense forest for nearly 3 hours before you discover a track heading north, running parallel to the Rime Rift, whose rushing waters are over 1 mile deep. Dang! That is a deep... I can see why they call it a rift. In the distance, you spot a bridge that spans the dark water at a narrow point. A small hut with a flat roof has been erected in the center, on top of which stand 2 soldiers. A sign points across the bridge, Port Box. We just got tracking, so let's do it, right? Let's tracking. Your senses reveal that the path is a dead end. The only way that you can cross the Rime Rift and reach Port Box is via the bridge. Well, dang. Guess we gotta take the bridge, but at least we aren't caught by surprise by it. The soldiers quickly descend from the roof of the hut and grab their spears. They advance toward you, and one of them shouts, "Password, stranger!" We don't know a password for this bridge. For what it's worth, the Grand Canyon is over 1 mile deep in places. Well, we should call it the Grand Rift then, shouldn't we? This I'm more shocked about because it's full of water. Just freezing cold, flowing water going through this mile-deep canyon. We were supposed to learn the password at the tower, weren't we? It sure sounds like it. The guards look angry and ready to attack. You'll have to think of something quickly. We can offer them a bribe. We can show them the seal of Hammerdal if we still have it, and we do. Or we can fight. Gain back 2 more HP, I believe. Maybe, no, 1 more HP. I actually did remember it before. I say we show them the seal of Hammerdal. Both guards stare at the seal in awe. The legend of the seal of Hammerdal is well known to all the people of Duranor. It's said that of all the lost treasures of Duranor, the seal of Hammerdal is the one they would not wish returned. The anxious faces of the guards show they clearly realize its significance. One of the guards escorts you across the Rime Rift and along a forest road that eventually ends at a junction. A signpost points to the east. Port Bax, 3 miles. I must leave you now and return to the Rime Rift. I fear the war will soon cast its black shadow upon this land, and I shall be needed at the border. Godspeed to you, Summerlending. Godspeed. You watch for a few minutes as the soldier returns along the forest track before you set off eastward. You should arrive in Port Bax within the hour. The worst that could happen if we show the seal is we fight anyway. Yep, very much so. At dusk on the 10th day of your quest, you experience your first sight of the magnificent city of Port Bax. Like a diamond set in a green velvet shore, the towers of the city glimmer in the pale light of a waxing moon. To the north is the harbor and the formidable war fleet of the Duranese Navy. To the east, beyond the moss-covered city wall, stretches the forest of Duranor. And there, on the crest of a hill, stands a castle tall and proud, the crowning glory of this beautiful port. You enter Port Bax through an unguarded gate in the green city wall and make your way through a darkening street toward the harbor. As you turn into a tree-lined avenue, you notice the wide stone steps of a domed building to your right. You stop to read the brass plaque, City Hall. Despite the late hour, the main doors are open. We do have tracking. So, let's tracking again. You try to remember some of the stories told you by an old Kai master named Wyhawk, named Wise Hawk. He was envoy to Port Bax for many years, and he knew and loved this city as well as any native Duranese. You recall him saying that the consulate overlooked Aline Square in the naval quadrant of the city. There's a sign to your left pointing along the avenue. Naval quadrant 1/2 mile. Certain this is the right direction, you walk confidently along the tree-lined avenue. Say tree-lined avenue 1 more time. That'll make a tree-lined avenue appear. At the end of the avenue, the cobbled street turns abruptly to the right. It is tree-lined. Opposite the pointed, tall, white stone building with a plaque above the door. Port Watchtower Harbor Authority. You can see that the cobbled street ends at the high stone wall. There's a large red gate in this wall, and it is guarded by 2 soldiers. Beyond the gate, you can make out the masts of ships moored in the harbor. We can enter the watchtower or approach the red gate. Push the red button. Let's play again. What's the name of that Sesame Street game on the Nintendo that has some of the best, like, digitized voice of any game of its era? Let's see. Sesame Street 1, 2, 3? I think that's it. Or ABC? Apparently there's several. Big Bird's Hide and Speak. That sounds like it. Willow says Watchtower. Makes sense. Big Bird's hide and speak makes sense because we are talking about digitized voices. Or I am, really. Alright, watchtower it is. You're standing in a large empty hall. Opposite are 2 doors, each with a brass sign above them. We can enter the door marked white passes, or we can enter the door marked red passes, or we can leave and approach the guards at the end of the street. Well, we don't have white or red passes on our person. Frisbee, quit, baby. Thank you. It's raining, or it started raining really hard as soon as he went outside, so he's on edge. Alright, we can either pick a door at random, or we can dip out of here and see what's up the street. Leaving this one up to y'all. Too many choices, talk to the guards. Alright, let's do it. One of the guards steps forward and demands to see your pass. We do not have either pass. We refused entry to the harbor. Okay. You're slowly walking back along the cobbled street, trying to think of the best course of action when a young boy approaches you. I can get you into the harbor, mister, he says, but it'll cost ya. He produces an envelope containing a sheaf of official-looking papers. These'll get you a red pass at the port watchtower. All yours for only 6 gold crowns. We can buy the documents, paying 6 gold crowns. Or we can refuse them, and he'll lose interest in us and disappear. Once you've made your decision, you return to the port watchtower. Oh my god, they said tree-lined avenue again in this choice. They gone and did it. Hey, the wee lad, alright. Oh, that would be, I guess, a backpack item. Documents, we'll call it. Alright, now let's turn to page 318. You're standing in a large, empty hall. Opposite are 2 doors, each with a brass sign above them, so now we'll go through the red passes door. Read the postscript. If you do not have 6 gold crowns, the boy will sell the papers to you for however many you have, including 0 crowns. These papers need not be marked on your action chart and thus do not require a backpack to carry them in. Without these papers, it would be possible to wander endlessly in Port Box. Oh, that's wild. Well, let's pay 6 gold crowns. I love that there's addendums to the events of these books. Like, that's rad, right? You're standing in a large empty hall. Opposite are okay. We'll go into red passes. You enter a large room full of ledgers and files. A man wearing the uniform of the Duranese naval officer is seated opposite at a large desk. He peers at you inquisitively from behind a huge book and says, "You must have pressing business in the naval quadrant to apply for a red pass at this late hour. I'll need to see your access papers and proof of your commanding officer's authorization. If you do not have the documents he requires or do not wish to show them to him, you will have to risk showing him the seal of Hammerdal if you possess it." Alright, so we have the necessary documents. The man pulls a hidden bell rope, and suddenly 4 armed guards burst into the room. "These documents are forgeries. No doubt you're a spy, or worse perhaps. No matter, you'll soon find out how we deal with criminals in Port Box. Take him away." Before you can explain, you're seized by both arms and marched away to the city jail. All your equipment is confiscated, including all special items and weapons, and you're thrown into a cell full of evil-looking villains. You notice that several of these ruffians bear a strange tattoo of a serpent on their left wrists. The sign of Vonatar the traitor. By the time the guards have examined your possessions and realized your true identity, you've been strangled to death by the wizard's evil agents. Your life and your quest come to a tragic end here in Port Bax. Am I going to do that any time or every time? I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see, won't we? All right. So that sucks. Well, let's try Hammerdoll. And you could be really screwed here if you got here without the seal of Hammerdoll. Let's risk it. The man stares at the seal with a look of shocked dismay. Without saying a word, he gets up from his chair and beckons you to follow him up a flight of spiral stairs that lead to a domed chamber. Here you meet the captain of the port watch. He listens intently as you tell of the war in Sommerland and of your urgent mission. Issue a red pass immediately, he orders. Top priority. You collect your red pass, leave the port watchtower, and hurry along the street toward the harbor guards. Mark the red pass on your action chart as a special item. I don't know how you could... I guess if you didn't have the seal, you'd be screwed here. Just completely? Ugh. Man, that sucks. One of the guards steps forward and demands to see your pass. We have a red pass. The soldier salutes and allows you to pass through the red gate. You walk into an open square lit by the tall beacons lining the quayside. To your relief, you sight the marble pillars of the Sommerland consulate and the familiar sun flag of your country flying above it on the fresh night breeze. Looks like if the Japanese flag had been designed by the Dutch. I don't know what that means either. As you climb the stone steps, you're recognized by the Sommerlanding guards on duty at the main door. They disappear inside, quickly return in the company of a tall, gray-haired official. His anguished expression suddenly changes to a smile of joy as he beholds your ragged Kai cloak and tunic. Hope beyond hope. Oh, thank the gods you live, Kai Lord. The scant news that has reached us from the west has caused us great alarm. You're ushered inside and immediately to the envoy of Sommerland, Lord Lieutenant Rygar. Hey, it's Yo-Yo Guy again. Your first meeting with the Lord Lieutenant comes as something of a shock. You'd perhaps half expected him to be a servile old man, as are the envoys of the southern lands that plague your king's court with their delegations. That's a fun way to describe bureaucracy. The man clad in heavy chainmail standing before you is neither old nor servile. You're soon to learn that Lord Lieutenant Rygar is an exceptional man. How do you turn a phrase? I don't know how you even coin a phrase, if I'm being honest. Never heard coin as a verb. Yeah, that joke doesn't work, because of course coin is also... Never mind. It's made of brass. That's the important part. Born of Sommerlanding father and a Duranese mother, he's become something of a legend in the city. In the last decade, he's led an alliance of the nations to victory against the invading ice barbarians of Kalt. Wise in peace, fierce in war, you could not have wished for better company on your quest for the Sommersford. Rygar orders that a sumptuous meal be served. It is by far the best food you've tasted since the war began. During the feast, you recall the events that have brought you to Port Bax, and reflect on the daunting challenge that lies before you. After the meal, Rygar sends for his physician, who attends to your wounds. His potions restore 6 endurance points, which will definitely cap us out. I forgot to record, like, 2 things of healing. Then he advises you to sleep, for you're leaving with the Lord Lieutenant of Hammerdall in the morning. If you do not have a backpack, you may choose to assume that you are outfitted with one by Rygar. Oh, that's cool. That's handy. Early next day, you're taken to an enclosed garden at the rear of the consulate, where Rygar and 3 of his best soldiers await you on horseback. They're to be your bodyguard and guides on the 230-mile ride to Hammerdall. The streets of Port Box are just beginning to come to life as you ride through the town. Passing under the moss-covered city gate, you now feel confident that your mission will succeed. Pick a number. All right, here we go. Another coin flip thing. I kind of like this as just throwing in random events, right? Keeps it from always being samey. For 3 days and nights, you've ridden along the highway as it follows its route up the river valley of Duranon. In the distance are the peaks of Hammerdall Mountains, one of the highest ranges in Magnamund. The capital lies at the very center of those mountains. It is now the morning of the 14th day of your quest. You've made camp near the waterfall where the fast-flowing Duranon drops over 120 feet. You're about to leave when a group of 6 hooded riders appears on the forest highway above, blocking your exit from the camp. Hiya, and good morrow! They call me Robin the Hood. Perhaps you've heard of me and my merry men. See, now I wish I'd gone for married men. That way, you've heard of me and my married men, and then Little John puts up his hand and says, actually, I'm single. You know, I'm still friends, but we're divorced. You know, sometimes things just don't work out between 2 people. Lord Lieutenant Rygar demands that they let you pass, adding that you bear a royal dispatch. In Duranor, it is treasonable offense to hinder a king's messenger, but unfortunately, the Cloaked Riders do not seem impressed by his warning, and they remain where they are. If you do not call for reason, if you do not care for reason, perhaps our swords will turn your tails, says Rygar. He draws his sword and orders his men to attack. Hey, let's Spider-Man this shit. Sixth Sense has paid off so many times now. There's a strong aura of evil surrounding these Cloaked Riders. Your Kai sense... What was that? Weird sound, but my headphones are on, so I couldn't tell you the direction. There is a strong aura of evil surrounding these Cloaked Riders. Your Kai sense warns you to not follow Rygar and his men on their impetuous charge. You shout a warning to them to stop their attacking, but it's too late. You cannot be heard above the battle cries and thundering hooves of their mounts. As Rygar and his men gallop near the riders, one of the Cloaked horsemen draws a black staff from beneath his robes. A fierce blue flame shoots from its tip and explodes beneath Rygar's horse, sending him head over heels into the dense undergrowth. Rygar's men furiously attack with their swords. Their sharp blades slice clean through their enemy's cloak and bodies, and then you realize they're having no effect. For these are Helghast, fell captains of the Dark Lords. They have the ability to adopt human form, but they are invulnerable to normal weapons. The Cloaked staff bearer gives you a hideous laugh that tears at your mind. He's using a very powerful mind blast against you. You know you're outnumbered by a superior enemy, but you must act quickly if you're to survive this ambush at all. We can dive for cover or try and aid Rygar's men. We do have the spear, we'll at least be able to harm them if we get the chance. So that was a very lucky find. Even if it turns out we did the shitty thing in the end. So I'm going to say, I say we first try to attack them since we know we can damage them. And if we can't win the fight, we can hit back a couple of times and try running away. Does that sound good to y'all? Drop our modifier down to 4 there. Good plan, says Willow. All right. You spur your horse toward the cloaked Helghast that's about to strike a helpless soldier. The creature is immune to Mind Blast and can only be wounded by a magical weapon. We do in fact have a magic spear. You are in combat with a Helghast. It's attacking you with a powerful Mind Blast. If you do not have the Kai Discipline of Mind Shield, you will lose 2 endurance points for every round of combat that you fight it. This creature is immune to Mind Blast. Alright, let's see how this goes. Ooh, this one's only got 21 combat skill. We're actually slightly stronger this time. Ooh, scary, but we got it. Oh, we're at 13 HP. Right, now we can raise that up 1. The hideous creature lets out one last cry as it collapses at your feet. As you step back to avoid the putrid smell of its rotting corpse, you see 3 more Helghast advancing toward you. To remain here would be suicide. You shout a warning to Rygar as you turn and flee for the safety of the woods. Ooh. Wait, what do you mean 6 more EP down? I think we're at the correct amount. Oh, fuck. Thank you. Okay, I see. Alright, now we're at another section, so we're up to 9. Ooh, thank you for calling that. The forest drops away steeply at the edge of your campsite, and in your haste you trip and fall headlong through the trees. Random event time. 9 is the only... Alright, 8. Well, it's no 9, but... You come to rest face down in a tangle of thick bracken. The ringing of steel and the horrible cries of the Helghast echo through the trees around you. You're stunned and cannot move until a hand grabs your arm and pulls you upright. It's Rygar. His face is bloodied, and his armor is battered and charred. We must flee these demons, Lone Wolf. If you've not already been told, the Helghasts are riders who attacked your party. Helghasts are fell victims of the Dark Lords. They have the ability to adopt human form, but are invulnerable to normal weapons. Dun dun dun. Strength and steel will not avail us here. You glimpse the silhouette of 6 Helghast in the forest road above. Their minds bent on the slaughter of Rygar's men, they fail to see you both slip away under the cover of the wooded hillside. I feel like I trust Rygar less now. For 6 hours you run without rest. The Helghast are on the highway, and you're forced to make your way through the steep and wooded foothills to avoid risk of capture. Many times you feel that you just cannot go on, that the pain and fatigue are too much to bear. But each time you falter, you're spurred on by Rygar. You marvel at his endurance, for he is not a young man and he is clothed in the heavy armor of a Sommerlending knight. By nightfall, you have reached the entrance to the Tarnelin, the western tunnel through the Hammerdal Mountains. I know what the sound is. One sec. Yeah. Got caught in a fan cage. Whew. Okay. Alright, by nightfall, you've reached the entrance to Tarnaline, the western tunnel through the Hammerdal Mountains. The 3 tunnels of Durinor were excavated during the Age of the Black Moon, and each tunnel is over 40 miles long, and passes through the huge circle of the Hammerdal Range to the capital. The tunnels provide the only access to the city. Rygar sits beside you and takes some bread and meat from his pack. Eat this, Lone Wolf. You must sustain your strength for the journey to Hammerdal. For from here you must venture alone through the Tarnaline. I shall remain here and hold the enemy back for as long as I have the strength to fight. Do not argue. That your mission should succeed is the only thing that matters. If Rygar is to hold off the Helghast, he'll need a magic weapon, as his own sword is of no use against the creatures. Alright, do we want to give him our spear? See the erratum for this section for details of the gameplay changes made to this section. Note, the results of the choices presented here are discussed. So there could be spoilers there. Any preference? We've got the problem of he's not going to survive even one of these things if we don't give him the spear. But if we do give him the spear and continue forward, then we could be screwed. But the thing is, if he's dead, we could be screwed from 2 sides. So it's a tough call. Guess we shouldn't just leave him to die? Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Spear that boy? Alright. If you possess a magic spear but do not wish to give it to Rygar, there's no option for... Oh, or if you do not possess a magic spear, turn to 118. That's interesting. Huh. You bid Rygar farewell and enter Tarnaline. Over 100 feet in height and width, the tunnel runs to the capital on the far side of the Hammerdal Range. This is lit by torches for its entire length. The highway through the mountains is usually alive with the traffic of merchants to and from Port Bax, and yet now the entrance and interior are deserted except for an overturned fruit wagon. As you walk deeper into Tarnaline, a doubt nags at you. Have the Helghast arrived here first? Kinda gives it away a bit, yeah. You've been walking for half an hour when you see a strange creature on top of the wagon in the road ahead. It's 2 feet high and resembles an overgrown marsh rat. You assume it's some sort of tunnel-dwelling rodent until you notice it's wearing a splendid jacket of patched leather and carrying what appears to be a spear. As you get nearer, it suddenly turns to face you. Its whiskered nose is sniffing the air, and its bright black eyes are peering into the gloom. It sees you and scampers off into the darkness of a smaller tunnel to your left. We found a furry! We do have animal kinship, so let's give that a go. Does it count for sentient, upright creatures? You recognize the creature to be a Nudnik. That's a terrible name. An intelligent but mischievous mountain-dwelling native of Duranor. The Nudniks inhabit a maze of smaller shafts and fissures that honeycomb the Hammerdal Mountains, and live off whatever they can steal from the merchant caravans that travel to Tarnaline. It occurs to you that if you can catch the Nudnik, you may be able to learn if the Helghast are hiding within the tunnel. I mean, yeah, that sounds good to me, right? You chase the furry creature as it hurries along on a narrow, twisting passage for nearly 10 minutes, and are about to give up the chase when the passage opens out into a huge torchlit cavern. A stunning sight greets your eyes. The cavern houses an entire colony of these strange creatures, all busy sorting through and examining a vast pile of strange objects littering the center of the hall. Hoping animal kinship pays off once, right? Alright, we do still have that discipline. A large Nudnik, wearing a brightly colored cloak of patchwork silks, orders several of his people to arm themselves and drive you out of the hall. When you speak to them in their own language, a hush of astonishment fills the cavern. Never before have they encountered a human being who could actually speak their tongue. For some of them, it's too much to grasp, and they stare at you open-mouthed, their furry little arms hanging loosely by their sides. Then the large Nudnik addresses you, saying he's the leader of the colony. His name is Gaskus, and he welcomes you and invites you to join him on top of a raised platform in the center of the chamber. Oh god, they're trying to show an accent and other... Yeah, I'm not going to do an accent here. You're not a Duranese man, eh? Where do you come from, then? Questions Gaskus in his strange Nudnik accent. You tell him that you are a Summerlending on your way to Hammerdal. He looks at you nervously, then asks, "You are not a Black Screamer, eh?" You realize that the Black Screamers that Gaskus refers to are probably Helghast. You learn that 2 of them arrived in Tarnaline over 2 hours ago and caused quite a panic in the main tunnel. Gashkik knows where they are lying in ambush, waiting for you to appear. I'll show you the way past them, eh? He offers. You nod your agreement and follow him down the steps of the platform to the hall below. The Nudnik seem to have overcome their shock and react to you now as if you were one of them. Before you leave, a pretty female Nudnik... Oh, see, she's a girl, so they have to make sure that you know that she's pretty. It's very important that you know she's pretty. They'll never say that one of the boys is a handsome male Nudnik. Probably would have given him the poshest British accent I could. That's a good idea. I'm just giving him my natural, like, half Canadian, half American accent here. I should say half British Columbia, half Oklahoma, right? Oh, shit. There is enough for 2. Okay, react to you now. Okay, pretty female Nudnik offers you some food for your journey ahead. You see that? Heteronormic gender roles enforced from top to bottom. I do not regret chasing out a couple of randos there by complaining about the characterization in this whole fucking section. Oh, fuck. Enough for 2 meals. Alright, so let's... Meal. There we go. Even other species can't escape gender essentialism, right? It's ridiculous. You thank her for her generosity and follow Gashkas along one of the many passages leading out of the cavern. After an hour of trekking through the dark, he stops and points toward a shaft of light that is pouring through a crevice in the far distance. You go left, you'll be safe, he says. You thank Gashkas for his help and silently thank your Kai masters who taught you the skill of animal kinship. It worked once! Speaking of, I've been watching My Dress Up Darling, and one of the recurring themes is that gender essentialism is bullshit. Oh, that's awesome. I'm not familiar with this show. But that sounds pretty great. Alright. The many years of instruction have probably saved your life. You squeeze through a fissure in the rock wall and drop 3 feet to the pathway below. You're thinking how kind the Nudniks were when you discover they've stolen all your gold. It happens. Continue along the tunnel and turn to 349. Good thing we were spending so much of that gold. I don't feel like it was all, like, wasted. We didn't do a bunch of scrimping and saving. You've covered nearly 3 miles when you see a group of wagons in the distance. They've been strung out across the highway to form a barricade. Soldiers in red uniforms line the roofs of the wagons, and a large crowd of people have gathered behind them. You can hear their excited chatter echoing along the tunnel. As you get closer, there's a sudden silence as all eyes turn to stare at you. A detachment of 10 soldiers led by a knight whose shield bears the royal arms of Duranor advances towards you. It's about a shy apprentice dollmaker who ends up dating his cosplay otaku girl classmate, although he doesn't figure out that they're dating for like 2 seasons. Oh, relatable. Absolutely relatable. Should we attack the soldiers? Or should we raise our hands and walk toward them? Do we have a reason why we would attack them? Why is that option here? God damn. Okay, well, my vote is that we walk toward them because this seems like a death sentence. The option's there for murder hobos. Fair enough. Oh, also, we should have gained, I think, 14? Or 4, rather? Plus, we have very little endurance comparatively. Speak, friend, and approach. There you go. That's what my nephew's D&D group would do. Fair enough. Cautiously, the soldiers surround you and take your weapons and backpack. You do not need to adjust your action chart. So that's saying that we're going to get it back, I assume. Who are you? What's your purpose in Tarnaline? He demands in a gruff voice. You tell them that you are Lone Wolf. You tell him that you're a Kai Lord. from Sommerland on an urgent mission to King Aline. He seems unconvinced by your words until you show him the seal of Hammerdal. What if we didn't have the seal of Hammerdal? Then, without hesitation, he orders his men to return your belongings and ushers you through the wall of wagons. Beyond, you can see a horse-drawn carriage waiting in the center of the crowded tunnel. Back to Hammerdal without delay, he orders the driver, and you're thrown in the back in your seat as the coach moves off at breakneck speed. Thrown back in your seat. There we go. You soon learn that the knight is Lord Axum of Rhyme, commander of King Alan's personal bodyguard. He was on his way to Port Box when the Helghast entered Tarnaline. He and 10 soldiers were the only ones who survived a deadly encounter with these evil creatures. Oh, so we at least have something to talk about on the trip. During your ride through the Tarnaline, you must eat a meal or lose 3 endurance points. And once again, not allowing for hunting to be used here because we're on a fucking stagecoach. That's me. That's my rule. The journey to the capital will take 5 hours, and you're advised by Lord Axum to get some rest. As you slowly drift off to sleep, you begin to dream about the Somersford. You picture a triumphant return to Helmgard, and defeat the Dark Lord's siege. Perhaps it'll be a good omen of events to come. It's early morning on the 15th day of your quest. This is a much longer book than the first one. When you open your eyes to the breathtaking spectacle of Hammerdal, the mountain city. The capital of Duranor, unlike other cities, is the last land. In the Last Lands, does not need man-made fortifications. The encircling peaks of the Hammerdal Range offer a far more secure protection to the people within. The carriage speeds through the lush farmlands surrounding the city with its many towers and wide streets. On a hill in the very center of Hammerdal stands the King's Tower, a magnificent structure of glass and stone. As the carriage halts at the tower gate, you suddenly realize for the first time that as a wielder of the Somersford, your destiny is to become part of the oldest legend in the Last Lands. Yes, destiny, and not dumb luck. From, whoops, I just happened to be outside the monastery doing shit because I was mouthing off in class. King Alan IV sits alone in his domed tower, viewing his mountain domain through one of the many portals of tinted glass. You and Lord Axum are formally announced as you enter the chamber, and you respectfully bow to his majesty. Then, Lord Axum removes the seal of Hammerdal from your finger, and walks over to the king's side. Remember to erase the seal of Hammerdal from your action chart. Ooh. Ominous. For nearly an hour they talk, their somber faces reflecting the seriousness of the situation, while I apparently just sit there in a bowed pose. There's a short pause of silent meditation, and King Alan suddenly rises from the throne and addresses you for the first time. Alas, the Dark Lords have woken once more, and once more does Sommerland come in search of our aid. I prayed that my reign would be remembered as a time of peace and fulfillment, but in my heart, I knew it was to be otherwise. Does that mean you can't get... That's what I'm saying, right? There must have been ways to, like, actually lose it and get screwed earlier on. Or a way where we get it back if we don't have it? I don't know. The king removes a golden key from the pocket of his white robe and inserts it in a marble dais standing in the center of the chamber. A gentle humming fills the room as the stone cover slides back to reveal the hilt of a golden sword. Take the sword, Lone Wolf. It is foretold that only a true son of Sommerland can release the powers that lie within. I've also regained, what, like 2 more HP? As you grasp the glowing hilt, a tingling sensation runs up your arm and radiates through your body. We do in fact have the Kai discipline of Sixth Sense. Or there's a different page where this meeting goes differently. Very, very possible as well. The power coursing through your body so overwhelms your senses that you become oblivious to your surroundings. You instinctively raise the blade above your head, where a shaft of sunlight suddenly catches upon its very tip and floods the chamber with blinding white glow. Wait a sec, wait a sec. Is this the right? Yeah, this is it. Okay. That's literally what just happened. And this is from over a decade earlier. The weapon was forged. Oh, at that moment, the true power of the Sommersword is revealed to you. This weapon was forged long before the Sommerlending, the Duranese, or the Dark Lords dwelt in the Lastlands. Its makers were of a race that men would now call gods. To release the power that it contains, only a Kai Lord may wield it. Should it be used in combat by anyone who is not a Kai Lord, its powers will fade and be lost forever. Excuse me. When used in combat, the Sommersword will add 8 points to your combat skill, or 10 points if you possess the Kai discipline of weapon skill with swords. Ba 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 ba! It has the ability to absorb any magic that is used against its bearer, and it doubles the total of all endurance points lost by undead enemies, e.g. Helghast, in combat. It is the only weapon in all of Magnamund that can kill a Dark Lord, and for this reason the Dark Lords are bent on thwarting your quest. You now realize you hold the only power in Magnamund that can save your people. Slowly, the light starts to fade, and you become aware of Lord Axim's hand upon your shoulder. Come, Lone Wolf. There's much to prepare for your return to Sommerland. You sheathe the Sommersword in its jeweled scabbard, and follow Lord Axim as he leaves the King's chamber. Make the necessary adjustments to your combat skill total now that you possess the Sommersword. Note that the powers of the sword under special items of your action chart. Alright, so I guess since it counts as a one-handed sword, and it's going to be our default weapon by the sound of it, I guess that means we move this up to plus 14. And you thought we were strong before. Alright. Sommersword. Plus 10 CS. 2x damage to undead. We're gonna put it down here, where it'll actually fit. Which is good because they don't take up space. Absorbs all magic. There we go. Look at that shit. That's wild. Okay. The Sommersword is a weapon-like special item. The plus 10 combat skill bonus referred to for weapon skill is a combination of the plus 8 skill that the Sommersword grants naturally and plus 2 weapon skill for the short sword, sword, or broadsword, as each of them grant proficiency with the Sommersword. It is not an additional bonus. When used in combat, treat it like a one-handed sword, regardless of weapon skill bonus. The text or footnotes will always remind you to double your enemy's endurance point lost if it is undead. Alright. Cool. The muster of the army and the preparation of the Duranese fleet takes 14 days to complete, during which time you remain as a guest to the King of Hammerdal. As each day passes, the despair for your besieged countrymen of Holmgard and you despair for the besieged countrymen of Holmgard and pray that they have enough strength to resist the Dark Lords until you return. Every day of your reluctant exile, you devote long periods to exercise meditation. You're also visited by a Duranese herb warden called Madin Rendalim, who is famous throughout the Last Lands for his knowledge and skill in the healing arts. He restores all endurance points you may have lost so far on your adventure, and gives you a potent Lomspur potion that can restore 5 endurance points after combat. Goes back up to 27. He's also the bearer of some sad news. The body of Lord Lieutenant Rygar was found in the forest near the entrance to Tarnaleen. He was killed by a Helghast. Sixth Sense? You've noticed during your rigorous training exercises with the Sommersword that your Kai discipline of Sixth Sense has become more sensitive than ever before. You knew exactly what Marin Rendalim's sad news was going to be, long before he actually told you. I could have figured it out too, though. Come on. You may find that your improved Sixth Sense will be an important advantage upon your return to Holmgard. It's early in the morning of the 33rd day of your quest when you ride into Port Bax with Lord Axim at your side. The preparations for war have been completed. The galleons of the Duranese war fleet lie at anchor in the harbor, impatiently awaiting the order to set sail for Sommerland. On board each ship are many brave soldiers from the Mountain Kingdom, a tough army of skilled warriors, eager to face the Dark Lords in battle. Each man has sworn to avenge their besieged allies or die in the attempt. You're to sail back to Holmgard aboard the flagship Duranor, a warship whose great curving prow and mast emphasize its sheer power and strength. You and Lord Axim are taken aboard and welcomed by Admiral Kalfan, commander of the fleet, and then the fleet prepares to set sail. In less than an hour, the harbor lies far behind you. The domes of Port Bax are now merely dots on the horizon. Right, another dice roll. I hope he took a Helghast with him since we left in that spear. Me too. 2. For 3 days and night, the mighty fleet of Duranor steers swiftly toward the home gulf, a strong wind filling the sails of the warships. But although the voyage is fast, the soldiers' confidence and eagerness for battle has slowly faded, as if their will has been drained by some invisible vampire. Lord Axim is close to despair. This black mood haunts our decks this black mood that haunts our decks is the evil work of the Dark Lord. I know of their power to turn a man's mind, But the curse that befalls us in sorcery we cannot even see to destroy. How I prayed that this spell would end, or even if we arrive at our destination, I fear we're too weak in mind to break our foe. As if to answer his prayer, the black curse seems to be lifted from the fleet with the dawning of the next day, but the spell is replaced by a threat far deadlier. A veil of sea fog has rolled across the still ocean from the broken spine of land known as Carlundan Isles. Strange dark shapes hide within the mist. They're growing larger, and slowly the distinct outlines of ships become plain. "Prepare for battle!" The Admiral's cry is repeated along the many decks of the Duranese fleet. "All hands on deck!" As the black ships approach through the fog, a horrific sight befalls you. They are death hulks, sunken ships crewed by the living corpses of drowned sailors. They've been summoned to the surface by great wizardry, and they are closing for battle. Suddenly the fog vanishes, and you can now see that the death hulks bar the entrance to the home gulf. In the center of the line is their sinister flagship. Swiftly it sails toward you, a huge ram protruding from its black prow. As it rips its way through the hull of the Duranor, you hear the Admiral's last desperate order. "Abandon ship!" You're now in the thick of the enemy fleet, and the Duranor is sinking fast. Dive to the sea and try and swim, or see if we can just, jump it. You think we can jump it? I think we can jump it. Plus, I don't want to lose all the stuff in our backpack again. Let's jump it. You land on the rotting timbers and crash straight through to the deck below. You're unharmed by the fall, but the stench of decay that fills your nostrils is overwhelming. You clamber up and unsheath the Somersford. 4 ghastly Zobmies stagger out of the gloom, their twisted hands extended towards your throat. You must fight them all as one enemy. Alright. Double all endurance loss 2x. There we go. Look, it even... Oh, hey, look at that. We can have, plus, I could actually add the 2 for Mind Blast on there next time. Alright, 13 plus 16, double endurance damage. This is going to be done in 1 hit. Yep. We did, they're at negative 20. Just to be clear, they stood no chance. The stench of the ship is making you choke. You lose 1 endurance point. You must get out of this vile hold or you'll suffocate. Hey, Sixth Sense. We were just talking about the Sixth Sense, right? Someone or something is approaching the door of the hold from the other side. If you climb, I'm going to say we're not healing this round because we're still in the hold. If you climb out through the shattered deck, you will leave your legs vulnerable to attack from below, and there's no other way out. You sense that it's an evil creature of some considerable power. Raise the Somersford and prepare for combat. It was his sled, oh no. The door bursts open, and in rushes a Helghast, its black sword raised. You strike the creature as it enters the hold and open a terrible gash in its chest. It lets out a hideous cry, but although badly wounded, it leaps forward to attack you. You must fight this creature to the death. Alright, combat, we do double damage. It's immune to Mind Blast, but it's not using Mind Blast against us. I guess because we surprised it. So we're now looking at 22 and 20, which is fucking nothing now with our 32 combat skill with the Somersford. Oh, immediately dead. We did take 2 damage, though. You make your way up a flight of stairs and onto the crowded deck. Fierce battle rages all around you as the Duranese fleet is engulfed by the rush of ghostly death hulks. Suddenly, a flash of searing flame shoots from a tower at the rear of the death hulk you're on and explodes into the side of a Duranese warship less than 50 yards away. You watch in horror as soldiers leap from the deck, their clothes and hair in flame. Investigate the tower or escape the ship by jumping overboard. Well, I'm going for the tower. Alright, maybe we can still save this. That one I will count as healing because we're out from the below decks now. 2 zombies try to block your passage, but you cleave them in half with one sweep of the Sommersword. You're at the foot of the tower, and you can now see a hunchbacked man in crimson robes above you. He wears a tall, curved tokmor, a magician's headdress. It bears the emblem of a serpent. In his right hand is a black staff. We have in fact seen the Crystal Star Pendant, and in fact we have the Crystal Star Pendant. Right? That's under special items? Yeah, we still have this. We still have the Crystal Star. It came up! Look at that. In the next book, it comes up. Alright. He is Vonator the Traitor, a renegade wizard from the Magicians Guild of Tehran. He's a master of the black arts and now possesses great power which the Dark Lords themselves have given him. It was his agents who tried to assassinate you during your quest, and it is he who commands the Death Hulk fleet. Destroy Vonator and you will destroy the evil forces that give power to the Death Hulks and their crews. It's likely that the information provided here is a combination of the information given you previously by Banadon and the Kai discipline of Sixth Sense, both of which you must have in order to receive the Crystal Star Pendant. Isn't that nice? Let's do it. Let's kick the shit out of him. Also, +1 EP. The climb is difficult, for you have only one free hand, the other holds the glowing hilt of the Sommersword. You eventually reach the rim of the tower and quickly hook a leg over its narrow ledge. You're about to jump into the tower and attack the man when a thin voice makes you freeze. Oh, I shall delight in the irony of your death, Lone Wolf. The sorcerer is standing in the far corner of the tower, his left hand pointed at your head. Your quest has failed, Lone Wolf. Now you must die. A blinding flash of orange flame shoots from his hand toward your face. In a fraction of a second, the searing burst of flame changes direction in midair and is drawn toward the blade of the Sommersword. The bolt of energy disappears into the golden blade like water into a drain. You remember that the Sommersword has the power to absorb all magic. The power has saved you from certain death. The sorcerer curses you, pulls a jewel from his ornate tokmor, and throws it at your feet. There's a flash of flame and a cloud of choking green gas billows up in your face, filling your nostrils with acidic smells. You're forced to jump to the deck below to avoid the poisonous gas, and you just catch a glimpse of the sorcerer as he frantically paddles a small boat away from the Death Hulk. It's like the fucking end of a Looney Tunes cartoon. Purple lightning shoots from his fingers. The Sommersword does not absorb chemistry, as we've seen, yeah. We can swim after him, or fight back to the warship. I kind of wanna go after him. I wanna catch up to his fucking dinghy. And then just throw him in the goddamn water. Oh, fuck. Let's try it. Blinking the foul water from your eyes, you can see that the flagship of the Death Hulk fleet is now ablaze. Black smoke is pouring from the decks, and tongues of orange and yellow flame flicker from its rotten black hull. Wait, didn't I pick? Huh. Suddenly you're aware of the beating wings directly above you. You're shocked to see a Kron hovering above, trying to grab at you with its sharp claws. Its hooked talons catch your cloak, and suddenly you're snatched up into the air, but it is to be a short fight. You draw the Somersword and sink it into the soft belly of the creature. With a shriek of agony, it releases its grip and you fall. You pray that luck will be on your side and that you'll land safely. Luck is with you, for you land safely on the deck of the Calcar. Did they fuck up the order, or is it supposed to go like this? Because it feels like it's totally ignoring what I said. Trace along the corpse litter deck, yada yada. Huh. Alright, that's weird. Luck is with you, for you land safely on the deck of the Kalkarm, a Doranese warship. The soldiers here have been involved in a desperate battle, but have fought off the enemy and are cutting the grappling ropes that hold the ship to the Death Hulk. From out of the smoke strides Lord Axim, his face bloodied and his shield badly scarred. Thank the gods you're alive, Lone Wolf. The fight has been bitter and our losses are high, but I'm heartened indeed to see you standing before me now. He says and leads you to the ship's rail. Look yonder, their flagship is ablaze. Through the fog of war, you can see that the huge Death Hulk is slowly sinking beneath a plume of dense black smoke. The Kalkarm is eventually freed and slowly it maneuvers out of the tangle of wreckage. A wind begins to stir, filling its tattered sails and carrying away the smoke of battle. Lord Axim orders the royal arms of Duranor to hoist aloft so that other ships can rally to the Kalkarm. For the first time since the battle began, you can now see the other Duranese ships. It's an amazing sight, for as the enemy flagship sinks beneath the waves, so every Death Hulk on the horizon returns to its watery grave as well. Their sorcery's broken. We've won this battle, says Lord Axim. And within a few minutes, not one of the Death Hulks remains afloat. 70 Duranese warships left Port Bax, but only 50 now enter the home Gulf. The battle has claimed many brave men, including Admiral Calfin, who died aboard the flagship Duranor, the first ship to be sunk. But despite the heavy loss, a great victory has been won, a victory which inspires the Duranese soldiers with new strength, so that the past ordeal of both the voyage and the battle are soon forgotten. As their optimism and determination return, all are eager to reach Holmgard and raise the siege. It is dusk on the 37th day of your quest, when you sight the spires of Holmgard on the horizon. The city still stands defiantly against the army of the Dark Lords, although constantly under siege. Flickering in the darkness, you can see the small fires which burn throughout the capital. Confident Lord Axim joins you at the prow. The moonless sky will aid us this night. We shall enter the harbor unseen. Come the dawn, my men will scatter the wretched foe like dead leaves upon the wind of a storm. In a row? Yeah, right? Feels like we should have taken a break from days after a while. As you enter Holmgard Harbor, at the head of the Duranese fleet, you unsheath the Somersword and prepare to fulfill your destiny. Holmgard has suffered much since your departure. Many of the shops and houses you remember passing on your way to the quay are little more than heaps of ash. The Dark Lord's army, with their evil engines of war, surround the walls, and the flaming arcs of fireballs shooting through the air continually light the night sky as they rain down on the streets below. The people fight the fire as best they can, but they are hungry and exhausted and close to surrender. At first, as it enters the harbor, The fleet is mistaken for the enemy, and cries of despair can be heard all along the quay. But as the first of the soldiers set foot in the city and unfurl the royal arms of Duranor, the news of your return spreads quickly. The cries of despair have changed to a chorus of cheers. The Kai Lord has returned! You're standing at the top of the great watchtower, high above the main gate of the city, when the first light of dawn creeps slowly over the horizon. Thousand upon thousand of the black-clad enemy mass around the city wall, huddled like beetles in the trenches that cover the plain. In the midst of this horde, a great red tent has been erected bearing the symbol of a broken skull. It is the mark of Zagarna, Lord of Kog, a Dark Lord of Helgadad. His great ambition is the destruction of the Home Guard, his fiercest desire to lead his army to victory over the House of Ulnar and claim Sommerland for his own. But victory is not to be his this day. Raising the Somersford high above your head, a shaft of dawn sunlight catches upon the tip of the golden sword, and a brilliant flash of blinding white flame runs the entire length of your... Take that one again. Raising the Somersford high above your head, a shaft of dawn sunlight catches upon the tip of the golden sword, and a brilliant flash of blinding white flame runs the entire length of the blade. The power of the Somersford electrifies you. Your senses reel, and now your body reacts instinctively. You lower the Somersford and point the blade toward the tent of Lord Zargana. There's a mighty roar as the power of the Sun Sword is unleashed in a searing white beam. The tent explodes, and a brilliant fireball of white flame mushrooms skyward. A long and terrible cry rends the air. It is Lord Zagarna, the leader of the evil army, is no more. I feel like we just got ripped off from a boss fight. Gripped with fear and panic, the vast black army rise up and run in chaos from the city wall. The impossible has happened. Their invincible master is slain. Again, the Somersford has returned to defeat them. The army and the allies of Duranor ride out the city gate in pursuit of the panic-stricken enemy as they run blindly toward the Derncrag Mountains. The victory is yours. Holmgard is saved, and the murder of the Kai has finally been avenged. But for you, Lone Wolf, a life of high adventure has only just begun. A new challenge awaits you and the Somersford in Book 3 of the Lone Wolf series, The Caverns of Cult. And there you have it. That's book 2. We didn't go too late. The first book we were done early. I didn't expect us to go overtime on the second one. I did remember that the writing gets better from book 2 onwards. Number 1 comes up a little flat at times. But yeah, this one did much better on that front. And I'm gonna hit save. We can hope. And we can write it down later. It's funny that in the PC game, the Sommersford is always there, but it costs psychic points to use. So you couldn't just tear through everything with it like you often can in the books. True of Dragonlance too, that's absolutely correct. By the time Dragons of Summer Flame finally came out, well, let's just say they more than hit their stride. I remember waiting for Dragons of Summer Flame. Alright, so yeah, that's it for tonight. Thank you all so much for coming. If you want to support us, I implore you, head on over to patreon.com/ifwhen, that's IFWHEN. You'll get access to music like you just heard, art like you're seeing now, and a shout out at the end of the stream like you're about to hear. So thank you to our patrons, Green, Angelic, Mellygasket, Spy. I just managed to fuck up 2 letters in there. Let's try that again. Thank you to our patrons, Angelic, Green, Mellybasket, Sky, and Andymonium. You're wonderful. Thank you for helping us keep going. It's rough out here. If you want to see the schedule, that is, of course, over at truckcommunity.neocities.org. And our next stream is going to be tomorrow. I believe our next scheduled stream is tomorrow with Alice playing more Donkey Kong Bonanza. And if you want to see VODs, that's recordings of our streams, then head on over to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@ifwhenvod. Willow says, fun fact about me, I have an unfinished rendition of Larry Elmore's Raceland and Crescenia tattooed on your back. That's awesome. That's cool as hell. Alright, I think that's everything for today, so... My name's Sue, I hate video games. Give my regards to the next frog you meet, and good night.